June 5, 1944. Night. Somewhere in the English Channel, beneath storm clouds and rain, the greatest armada ever assembled moves through the darkness. 5,000 ships, 11,000 aircraft, 156,000 men, every one of them heading toward a coastline bristling with guns, mines, and concrete fortifications designed for one purpose: to turn the beaches of France into a graveyard. The odds are impossible. The risks are catastrophic. One mistake could doom the entire invasion. Yet they sail onward through the storm because turning back is not an option. For 5 years, Nazi Germany has held Europe in an iron grip. Millions have died. Entire nations have been enslaved. The world has watched as darkness spread across the continent like a plague. But tonight, that darkness will be challenged. Tonight, democracy fights back. June 6, 1944. Before the sun rises, before the world even stirs, the fate of nations hangs in the balance. This is D-Day, the day when ordinary men will perform extraordinary acts of courage. The day when the course of human history will be decided on 5 bloody beaches. The day that will determine whether freedom survives or tyranny prevails. Across the cold, black waves of the English Channel, the largest invasion force in human history moves silently through the night. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of men, a storm of steel and hope hidden beneath a blanket of darkness. They are coming, and nothing will ever be the same. To understand D-Day, we must first understand what led to this moment, and why this invasion is both necessary and nearly impossible. For 5 long years, Adolf Hitler's tyranny has crushed Europe beneath the weight of fear. September 1939, Poland falls. April 1940, Denmark and Norway. May 1940, Belgium, the Netherlands. June 1940, France surrenders. Cities burned, families shattered, an entire continent held hostage as Nazi banners rose from Paris to Warsaw. By 1941, Nazi Germany controlled virtually all of Western and Central Europe. Only Britain stood defiant, bloodied but unbroken. The world had watched democracy stagger, retreat, and nearly die. In June 1941, Hitler turned east, invading the Soviet Union. The war became truly global. Millions died on the Eastern Front. The Soviets bore the brunt of German military power. Stalin pleaded with his Western allies: open a second front. Force Germany to fight on 2 fronts. Relieve the pressure on the Red Army. But opening a second front meant invading France. And invading France meant confronting Hitler's Atlantic Wall. The Atlantic Wall was Hitler's grand defensive system, thousands of miles of fortifications stretching from Norway to Spain. In France, particularly along the beaches of Normandy and Pas-de-Calais, the defenses were formidable. Concrete bunkers housing artillery and machine guns. Steel and concrete obstacles on the beaches to destroy landing craft. Millions of mines on the beaches, in the water, in the fields beyond. Barbed wire everywhere. Reinforced by elite panzer divisions held in reserve. The mastermind behind strengthening these defenses was Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, Germany's most respected commander. Rommel knew that the Allies would invade. He also knew that Germany's best chance was to destroy the invasion on the beaches before it could establish a foothold. The war will be won or lost on the beaches, he said. We'll have only one chance to stop the enemy, and that's while he's in the water, struggling to get ashore. Rommel worked tirelessly to strengthen the defenses. He added millions more mines. He created obstacles, Rommel's asparagus, poles planted in fields to destroy gliders. He flooded low-lying areas to drown paratroopers. By June 1944, the Atlantic Wall seemed impenetrable. But on this night, everything is about to change. The plan is simple in theory, impossible in execution. Cross the Channel. Break through Hitler's impenetrable Atlantic Wall. Establish a foothold in France. Open a Western front that will divide, weaken, and ultimately destroy the Nazi war machine. The operation is codenamed Operation Overlord. The actual invasion day is simply called D-Day, the day of the attack. In command is General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ike, a calm, diplomatic American general who must coordinate the largest military operation in history. Eisenhower commands a truly multinational force: American troops, British forces, Canadians, Free French, Poles, Norwegians, Dutch, Belgians, and many others. They all have different equipment, different languages, different traditions. Welding them into a unified force is a monumental task. But Eisenhower is the right man for the job. He listens. He delegates. He inspires confidence. It will require courage beyond measure, luck beyond reason, and sacrifice beyond imagination. For months, the Allied powers have prepared. Factories across America thunder with production. Tanks, aircraft, ships, ammunition, the industrial might of the United States pours into Britain. British dockyards transform into vast engines of war. Every day, the skies fill with aircraft, the seas with ships, the training camps with men who know that many of them will never return. In southern England, millions of soldiers train relentlessly. They practice beach landings, combat drills, coordination between infantry, armor, and air support. The English countryside becomes a vast military camp. Entire towns are taken over for training. Mock invasions are conducted again and again. But where will the invasion occur? The Germans know an invasion is coming. They just don't know where. The most obvious location is Pas-de-Calais, the narrowest point of the Channel, only 21 miles from England. The Germans expect the invasion there. Rommel concentrates his best defenses there. But the Allies choose Normandy, 150 miles west. The beaches are less heavily defended. The element of surprise might be achieved. To maintain that surprise, the Allies launch Operation Fortitude, an elaborate deception campaign. They create fake armies, fake equipment, fake radio traffic. They position inflatable tanks and plywood landing craft in southeast England, visible to German reconnaissance. They leak false information. They use double agents to feed Germany misinformation. The deception works. Even after D-Day begins, Hitler will believe Normandy is a diversion, that the real invasion will come at Calais. Yet even with overwhelming preparation, the outcome remains uncertain. Behind their fortifications, German soldiers wait. Thousands of machine guns staring into the night. Miles of mines, barbed wire, steel obstacles. Concrete bunkers bristling with artillery. One mistake, one delay, one stroke of bad weather, and the greatest invasion in history could end in disaster. June 5, 1944. The invasion is scheduled for dawn. But there's a problem, the weather. A massive storm system has moved over the channel. High winds, heavy seas, low clouds, visibility near zero. The invasion cannot proceed in these conditions. Landing craft would swamp. Aircraft couldn't support the troops. Naval bombardment would be ineffective. Eisenhower faces the most difficult decision of his life. His meteorologist, Group Captain James Stagg, predicts a brief window, a break in the storm, on the morning of June 6th. It won't be perfect conditions, but it will be good enough. June 5, 1944. The invasion is scheduled for dawn. But there's a problem, the weather. A massive storm system has moved over the channel. High winds, heavy seas, low clouds, visibility near zero. The invasion cannot proceed in these conditions. Landing craft would swamp. Aircraft couldn't support the troops. Naval bombardment would be ineffective. Eisenhower faces the most difficult decision of his life. His meteorologist, Group Captain James Stagg, predicts a brief window, a break in the storm, on the morning of June 6th. It won't be perfect conditions, but it will be good enough. Eisenhower gathers his commanders. They debate. Some urge delay. Others argue for proceeding. If they delay, they must wait weeks for the tides to be right again. But by then, secrecy might be lost. The Germans might discover the plan. But if they go and the weather is worse than predicted, thousands could die before reaching the beach. High above the clouds, Allied paratroopers jump into the darkness. 13,000 American paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions. 7,000 British paratroopers from the 6th Airborne Division. Men from the U.S. 82nd and 101st Airborne, from Britain's 6th Airborne Division, drift silently toward the ground. Their mission: drop behind enemy lines, seize key bridges and crossroads, disrupt German communications, prevent reinforcements from reaching the beaches. But the drops are chaotic. High winds scatter the aircraft. Anti-aircraft fire explodes around them. Some planes drop their paratroopers too early, others too late. Many land far from their targets. Others plunge into flooded fields and drown before firing a shot. Weighted down by equipment, 80 to 100 pounds each, men sink into marshes flooded by Rommel's defensive measures. Some drown, unable to shed their gear in time. But those who survive begin their mission: secure the roads, the bridges, the causeways, cut off German reinforcements, sow confusion behind enemy lines. Small groups of paratroopers gather in the darkness, guided by clicking metal crickets, simple toys that became recognition signals. One unit, led by Lieutenant Dick Winters, who will later become famous, captures a German battery at Brecourt Manor, silencing guns that could have devastated Utah Beach. British paratroopers capture Pegasus Bridge intact, a vital crossing over the Ken Canal. They hold it against fierce German counterattacks. The airborne assault is chaotic, scattered, and costly, but it achieves its goal: confusion. German commanders receive conflicting reports. Are these the main invasion? A diversion? Where are they landing? Critical hours pass while the Germans try to understand what's happening. On the beaches below, thousands of soldiers prepare for what awaits them. Some write letters home. Some pray. Some clutch photographs of loved ones. Many sit in silence, lost in their thoughts, knowing that everything they value, everything they love, depends on the next few hours. The landing craft rock violently in the rough seas. Men are seasick, vomiting over the sides. The water is cold. The sky is gray. Fear is everywhere. The sky is still dark when the naval bombardment begins. At 5:50 a.m., the warships open fire. Battleships and cruisers unleash thunder across the horizon. The sea shakes under the roar of guns so powerful they can shatter concrete from miles away. Over 7,000 naval guns pound the German defenses. Fire and smoke roll across the French coastline. The German fortifications tremble, but they do not crumble. The bombardment is impressive, terrifying, but ultimately insufficient. Many of the shells miss their targets. The concrete bunkers are stronger than expected. When the bombardment lifts, the German defenders emerge from their bunkers, man their guns, and prepare to repel the invasion. Then, as dawn breaks, the landing craft advance. Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword, 5 names that will echo through history. At Utah Beach, the westernmost landing zone, American forces prepare to land. The 4th Infantry Division, commanded by Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr., son of President Theodore Roosevelt and cousin of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. At 57 years old, Roosevelt is the oldest man in the first wave. He insisted on landing with the troops, despite having a heart condition. His superiors reluctantly agreed. At Utah, American forces land off course, a mistake that miraculously saves hundreds of lives. Strong currents push the landing craft nearly a mile south of their intended landing zone. When Roosevelt steps ashore and realizes they're in the wrong place, he makes a quick decision. We'll start the war from right here. Turns out to be a stroke of luck. The area where they landed is less heavily defended than their original target. Resistance is lighter than expected. The beachhead begins to form. Engineers blow gaps in the beach obstacles. Tanks and vehicles roll inland. By the end of the day, Utah is secure with relatively light casualties. About 200 killed or wounded, far fewer than feared. Theodore Roosevelt Jr. will die of a heart attack a month later, but not before earning the Medal of Honor for his leadership on D-Day. At Gold Beach, British troops fight through thick defenses, pushing inland with determination. The 50th Infantry Division lands at Gold. They face strong resistance, pillboxes, machine gun nests, minefields. But British engineering ingenuity makes a difference. They deploy Hobart's funnies, specialized armored vehicles, flail tanks that clear mines, bobbin tanks that lay matting over soft sand, crocodile tanks that shoot flames. These strange-looking vehicles prove invaluable. They clear obstacles, destroy bunkers, save lives. By midday, British forces have breached the Atlantic Wall and are pushing inland. They link up with Canadian forces from Juno Beach to the east. Canadian forces at Juno Beach face brutal fire but break through with staggering bravery. The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division lands at Juno. The beach is heavily fortified. High seawalls provide excellent defensive positions for German machine gunners. The Canadians suffer heavy casualties in the first wave. Half of the first landing craft are destroyed or damaged. Bodies wash in the surf, but the Canadians press on with ferocious determination. They storm the seawall. They destroy bunkers. They push into the town of Courseulles-sur-Mer. By day's end, Canadians have advanced further inland than any other Allied force on D-Day, nearly 7 miles. Their casualties are steep, nearly 1,000 killed or wounded, but their courage is undeniable. At Sword Beach, the easternmost British landing, troops face heavy resistance but push toward the city of Caen. The 3rd British Infantry Division, supported by Free French commandos, lands at Sword. Their objective is ambitious: capture Caen, a major city, by the end of D-Day. They land successfully, overcome beach defenses, and advance inland. But German resistance stiffens. The 21st Panzer Division, one of Germany's elite armored units, counterattacks. The advance stalls. Caen will not fall on D-Day. In fact, it will take weeks of brutal fighting before Caen is finally captured. But Sword Beach is secured. The beachhead holds. But at Omaha, the story is different. Omaha Beach is a nightmare. It's a crescent-shaped beach, overlooked by high bluffs. The bluffs are honeycombed with German bunkers, pillboxes, and fighting positions. Every inch of the beach is covered by interlocking fields of machine gun and artillery fire. The German 352nd Infantry Division, battle-hardened troops, defends Omaha. Allied intelligence didn't know they were there. The Allies expected only second-rate coastal defense units. They were wrong. As the ramps drop on the American landing craft, all hell erupts. Machine guns tear through the air. Mortar shells explode in the surf. Men are cut down before they even touch the sand. Some landing craft hit underwater obstacles and explode. Others are torn apart by artillery. Many men, weighted down by equipment, drown in deep water. Bodies drift with the waves. Wounded soldiers cling to shattered obstacles as the tide rises around them. Chaos reigns. The beach is a killing zone. There is no cover, nowhere to hide. Men huddle behind beach obstacles, behind the bodies of their comrades, desperately trying to survive. Omaha becomes a nightmare, a place where survival seems impossible. Entire units are decimated in minutes. Company A of the 116th Infantry Regiment loses 96% of its men in the first wave. Medics run through the fire trying to save the wounded. Many are killed doing so. Engineers trying to clear obstacles are shot down. The obstacles remain, channeling more landing craft into kill zones. For hours, it seems the invasion at Omaha will fail. And yet, through the smoke and blood, small groups of soldiers begin to crawl forward. Officers and NCOs, many of their commanders killed, take charge. They rally small groups. They move forward, inch by inch. 2 kinds of people are staying on this beach, Colonel George Taylor shouts. Those who are dead and those who are going to die. Now let's get the hell out of here. In. Foot by foot, they scale cliffs under fire. Bangalore torpedoes, long tubes packed with explosives, blow gaps in the barbed wire. Small teams climb the bluffs using every bit of cover, every fold in the terrain. They destroy German strongpoints 1 bunker at a time. Destroyers move in dangerously close to shore, so close they almost beach themselves, to provide point-blank fire support. Slowly, painfully, the defenses begin to crumble. By midday, the beachheads across Normandy are secured. Thousands lie dead. Thousands more are wounded. But the Allied foothold is real, and it is growing. At Omaha alone, American casualties exceed 2,000. But by nightfall, the beach is secure. Men and equipment are flowing inland. West of Omaha, another drama unfolds at Point du Hoc. This is a 100-foot cliff, topped by a German artillery battery that could devastate both Omaha and Utah beaches. The mission to neutralize it falls to the 2nd Ranger Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel James Earl Rudder. At 7 a.m., the Rangers approach the cliff in landing craft. German soldiers look down and fire. Some throw grenades over the edge. The Rangers fire rocket-propelled grappling hooks and rope ladders. They begin to climb. It's a desperate, terrifying climb. Men are shot and fall. Ropes are cut, but the Rangers keep climbing. They reach the top and find the guns are gone. The Germans have moved them inland, fearing they'd be destroyed by bombardment. But the Rangers don't give up. They search the area and find the guns hidden in an orchard, ready to be towed into position. The Rangers destroy the guns with thermite grenades. Then they hold the position for 2 days, surrounded, outnumbered, low on ammunition, fighting off German counterattacks. Of the 225 Rangers who landed at Point du Hoc, only 90 are still able to fight by the time they're relieved. Their courage and sacrifice ensure the guns never threaten the beaches.
Hitler ist steind.
His commanders hesitate. Confusion spreads through the German high command. When the invasion begins, the German response is fatally slow. Field Marshal Rommel is not even in France. He's in Germany, visiting his wife for her birthday, believing the bad weather makes an invasion impossible. When he receives word of the landings, he rushes back, but it takes hours.
Hitler ist ösleep.
His staff is afraid to wake him. Critical hours pass. When Hitler finally wakes and is briefed, he believes the Normandy landings are a diversion. Some believe the Normandy landings are a feint, a distraction from a larger invasion at Calais. That hesitation gives the Allies the one thing they need most: time. The German panzer divisions, powerful armored forces that could crush the beachheads, are held in reserve, awaiting Hitler's personal orders. Hitler refuses to release them, convinced the real invasion is coming at Calais. By the time he realizes Normandy is the main effort, it's too late. The Allies have established their foothold. By nightfall on June 6th, over 150,000 Allied soldiers stand on French soil, the first step toward the liberation of Europe. D-Day is just the beginning. In the days that follow, the fighting becomes even more brutal. The Allies must expand their beachhead, linking the 5 beaches into a continuous front. But progress is slow. The Norman hedgerows, thick, ancient hedges that divide fields, turn into killing zones. Each field must be fought for individually. German resistance stiffens.
Elite SS Panzer Division arrive.
Fierce counterattacks threaten the beachhead. Hedgerows turn into killing fields. Towns are reduced to rubble. Casualties mount on both sides. Can becomes a focal point of brutal fighting. The British and Canadians battle for weeks to capture it. When it finally falls, the city is rubble. The Americans fight through the hedgerows toward Cherbourg, a vital port. The fighting is savage, close-quarters combat. But the Allies push forward, yard by yard, village by village. The breakthrough comes in late July, Operation Cobra. American forces smash through German lines and pour into Brittany. The race across France begins. Paris is liberated in August. The people of France watch in awe as the tide begins to turn. After years of darkness, hope returns. D-Day marks not just a military triumph, but a moral turning point. It is the moment when free nations rose together, risked everything, and said to tyranny, "No more." The cost of D-Day was staggering. On D-Day itself, Allied casualties, approximately 10,000, killed, wounded, missing. German casualties, estimated 4,000 to 9,000. French civilians, approximately 3,000 killed by bombardment. But D-Day opened the door to victory. Over the next 11 months, the Allies would fight their way across France, Belgium, Holland, and into Germany itself. On May 8, 1945, Nazi Germany surrendered unconditionally. The beaches of Normandy became the gateway to liberation, the place where evil began to falter, the moment when the outcome of the war shifted forever. Today, the beaches are peaceful. Tourists walk where soldiers died. Memorials stand where men fell. The American cemetery at Colleville-sur-Mer, overlooking Omaha Beach, holds 9,388 graves, row after row of white crosses and stars of David, perfectly aligned. Similar cemeteries, British, Canadian, German, dot the Norman countryside. Every year, on June 6th, veterans return. Fewer each year as time claims what war did not. But the memory endures. D-Day did not end the fighting. It did not stop the suffering. But it lit the path to victory. From the sands of Normandy to the streets of Paris, from the forests of Belgium to the gates of Berlin, everything begins here. June 6, 1944. A day written in blood, courage, and sacrifice. A day when ordinary men performed extraordinary deeds. A day when the world changed. D-Day reminds us that freedom is not free, that tyranny must be opposed, that ordinary people, when called upon, are capable of extraordinary courage. It reminds us that nations united for good can overcome any evil. D-Day, the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany, and the day that awakened the hope of a free world. The day when the tide turned, when the darkness began to lift, when freedom fought back and won. We remember them, the men who stormed the beaches, who climbed the cliffs, who jumped into the night, who gave everything so that we might live free. June 6, 1944, a day that changed the world, forever.